it is that time again, the list that causes so much debate among NBL circles, this man's top 15. Derek Rucker and Joel Peterson with you to debate things as we head into this FIBA window, our mid-season check-in on where things stand as far as the top 15 go. Former league MVP Derek Rucker is here. Ruck, good to be with you, good to be part of this.
Thanks, Joel. Great to have you. And you know, we did a preseason one, which was a first on the back of last season's top 15. And then last week I got the call. Let's go with the FIBA break, a top 15, and it's a really good idea. And this list will be somewhat different to the preseason list in that we have evidence now. We've seen the guys play enough of a sample size of games to really determine and get enough statistical data to see where everyone fits. The first list had a little bit of hope in it, some optimism for clubs and some projections on how players may actually play, but now we've got the hardcore concrete stuff.
It's good to know the lab can just be stood up at short notice as well and put into action the scientific evidence that goes on this in there. Tell us about the list overall. How do you formulate it? What's your criteria? It's obviously a subjective measure, but how do you come up with it and how do you measure it?
Well, I look into the stats, and there's a high degree of advanced metrics that go into it. So I look at, on the offensive end, usage, your offensive rating, net rating. As an individual player, how well do you shoot the ball? Do you impact team winning through your net rating? I also look at some subjective factors in terms of how you carry yourself. Are you a good teammate? Are you a star? Do people come out to watch you play? Can you hold your spot in this top 15 list because you're a big time and all-time great? And I've got a new little measure, and it's an all-time great category, and we've got two players that fit that one.
So that's a nice little Easter egg to keep an eye out for. Hasn't been without controversy in the past. It's caused plenty of debate along the way. There was some in Perth earlier in the season. There was some in Sydney last season with your friend Parker Jackson Cartwright. Do you enjoy the process?
I do, and it's a way for me to really immerse myself into the nerdy side of basketball. I get into the stats and I go deep, and it takes a really long time to put it together. But I think it is a pretty good list. Every time I put it out, I'm comfortable with what's out there. It doesn't mean that I'm not open to criticism and scrutiny. I actually look forward to it because that's a way that I learn more about the game. It's always great to hear other people's perspectives on this top 15 list. And a lot of NBL coaches also have their say to me in public and in private.
I must say, I did get asked by a colleague a little while ago, who would be your top 15? And it is a hard task to go and put together a list. It is not an easy task. What about the differences between the preseason and the mid-season, sort of the subtle differences that you've been looking for?
Well, have you been healthy? Okay, if you've been able to maintain good health, obviously it's going to impact your performance in a positive way. However, we have had some guys and some stars be healthy. Once they've come back, I've kind of measured how did they perform when they come back and then decided whether they needed to be bumped down and to what degree. But overall, this is a highly based on performance, and I think the top 15 are the guys who deserve to truly be there.
So with every list like this, there are 15 that make it. Yep. There are some that don't. There are some honourable mentions in this list. Guys that were just on the bubble. Who was unlucky to miss out?
The three guards from Melbourne United, I really tried to get them in there. And I mean Shea Illy, Matthew Dellavedova, Ian Clark. They all deserve some special attention. Ian Clark is an outstanding offensive basketball player. Matthew Dellavedova is having his best year shooting the basketball. He's been solid on the defensive end. Shea Illy, I believe, is at the front of the pack for Defensive Player of the Year. Every time he plays Melbourne United, their chances of winning that game increase exponentially. So it was really hard, and it hurt me to leave those three guys out. Sam Wardenberg, someone who's on the rise now in his third year. Matthew Mooney's been great as a complement to PJC. And the first time ever, a next star got consideration, Karim Lopez. Off the back of a couple double-double performances earlier in the season, and he's starting to be a valuable part of the rotation and someone who, in just his first of 2 years in the NBL, is going to be a valuable commodity.
And DJ Vasiljevic not quite making it as well, who was in the list at the start of the year. So that means that we've got at least one change, one addition.
Yeah, and on DJ, it's not that he's had a bad year, but his circumstances have changed within the team, with Montrezl Harrell coming in and the focus of that team changing slightly, and DJ, for the betterment of his team, trying to figure out how he fits in. It's kind of affected his raw numbers.
Well, that sets us up perfectly. Shall we do it? Shall we jump in?
Let's get in.
All right. Number 15 on Derek Rucker's top 15 is?
Number 15, Keanu Pender. This guy's averaging 14.6 a game, 6 rebounds. But Joel, his minutes per game have come down. Some of that's been due to injury and some perhaps due to non-injury reasons. But still, he's at 20.7 with his player efficiency rating, also known as PER. PER is a very valuable metric, and you'll hear me discuss it a lot. And his net rating, 3.4. So he's a solid player. Again, he's down significantly from where he was preseason, but to be in the top 15 is still a strong position for Keanu Pender.
Number 9 in the preseason, Keanu Pender. His best, like that first game in Perth, he's astronomically good. His worst can be confusing at times, but he's a valuable role player in that Perth lineup. What about number 14?
Number 14, Sam Froling, the big man from the Illawarra Hawks. He hasn't been spectacular this season, but he's on a very good team with outstanding players, with a lot of role players who are ascending. And Sam has averaged 14 a game. He gets 6 rebounds. He shoots the ball at 56% from the field. Again, just like Keanu Pender, he's got a PER of 20.7, which is outstanding. And his net rating, most importantly, is 10.3. So for every 100 possessions, the Illawarra Hawks are 10 points better for having Sampson on the floor. Australian bigs are extremely valuable, and he's really awkward to deal with. You see guys just don't want to deal with him in the paint. In the last game of their round before the FIBA break against Sydney Kings, he was huge in that game. He had 14 points and just continued to be a threat around the bucket.
He's a real problem, is Sam Froling. And for everyone that sits there and says, oh, we'd love to see more out of him, what he delivers week to week is already pretty good.
You're right, Joel. And there's all these calls for him. Your crazy friend Damon Lowry wants him to average 25 and 12. Well, that's just not feasible if the Hawks are trying to win basketball games with Trey Kell and also Tyler Harvey out there on the floor.
Yep, my crazy friend is probably good way to put it, I reckon, a good way to put it. I am fascinated by the next man who comes in at number 13.
James Bateman from the Brisbane Bullets is number 13. A massive 51-point outbreak to be the record holder for most points in the modern era 40-minute game. A tremendous performance. And the fact is that they really needed all of those 51 points. It was a vital game for the Brisbane Bullets. I figured their season was over if they lost to the Perth Wildcats at Brisbane. He's averaging 16 a game. He's shooting 52% from the field. This is an anomaly. Not only is he shooting 52%, but he's shooting 51.7% from the 2 and from the 3. Exactly the same. The guy is outstanding. He's got a positive net rating. And the fact is, when James Bateman plays well for the Bullets, they have a chance to win the game.
So you're in the lab, you're formulating the list. Did James Bateman kick the door down to the lab and demand to be in the team? Like, did you have him in the squad before that outbreak?
I did not have him in the top 15. He was outside the 15. I had Shea Illy in at number 13. And James Bateman's performance yesterday knocked Shea Illy out.
It was a hell of a performance from James Bateman the last time that we saw the Brisbane Bullets. So that's the first 3 of the top 15. Number 12, D-Ruck.
Number 12 is the exciting point guard from the Adelaide 36ers, Kendrick Davis. And a guy who I give a lot of credit to because he took some heat earlier in the season from the media, from the NBL media, and he said, wait, I'm going to bring it. And he's brought it. He's averaging 21 points a game, 7 assists. He's shooting 45% from the field. He's at a 20.6 PER. He is a leader in a team that is really good. And as he continues to grow in the league and understand how to play point guard at the professional level, keep in mind, he's a young guy. He's only 24 years old. His first real big-time job overseas. And I think as he matures as a professional this season, he's going to be even more damaging. In the last game of the round at Melbourne United, he was devastating. Melbourne United's outstanding guards could not contain him at all.
And we've seen plenty of of him at the offensive end. We've seen some glimpses at the defensive end too that he can be a real pest there.
He's feisty. He is going to fight. He's got a lot of attitude. I think he's got a lot of alpha in him, which you need at the point guard position, and I'm excited to watch him play the rest of the season.
He's certainly got a lot of speed and burst. The next two are really interesting when we get into that health argument, of course, with a mid-season check-in. Number 11.
Jalen Adams is number 11, point guard from the Sydney Kings. Now, look, he's been hurt a lot of the season. Since coming back from his injury, he's been decent without being great. I think they need to win more games. So he's been brought down a couple of notches primarily due to injury, but also due to the fact that the Sydney Kings go into the FIBA break sitting at 7-6. And had they won that game down in Wollongong, it would have probably meant he played better. Not that he played bad, but it would have meant that he played better and the team would be 8-5 instead of 7-6. And then that would have probably improved his ranking. But right now, sitting at 11 on the top 15 list is not a bad place for him. You know, he's averaging 14 a game, 6 assists. But the Sydney Kings, surprisingly, he's really good on the defensive end this year. Last year, an area where he really struggled. So to his credit, he's picked it up defensively.
So he's number 11. Number 10?
Number 10 is Will Magnay. And he would be in the top 5. If you look at his productivity when he's on the floor for the Tasmania Jack Jumpers and what he does for their chances of winning basketball games, it's crazy good. But right now he's averaging 14 a game. He's getting 7 rebounds. Joel, I know you're in love with his net rating. What's that net rating at?
That is a meaty 23.8.
Wow.
23.8.
He significantly impacts basketball games when he's out there. He's a low usage guy. We know he's a great rim protector. He shoots 59, 60, 61% from the field. He dunks hard.
Oh.
Ask Rucker.
Yeah. Ask half the league, I reckon.
So Will Magnay, if they can keep him healthy, then I think by the end of the season, if he continues to perform like this, he'll be in the top 5.
So Adams was number 8 in the preseason, comes in at 11 number now. Magnay was number 7 in the preseason. He comes in at number 10. What about number 9?
First time this man has made a top 15 list, and deservingly so. We saw glimpses of it happening at the end of last season. Number 9 is Tyler Harvey, the point guard or the combo guard from the Illawarra Hawks. He and Trey Kell play a variety of positions, but they're just really good basketball players, and that's what I like about both of these guys. But Tyler this season is averaging 17 a game. He's 47% from the three-point line, and I like how he's defending. He's playing a very sensible level of basketball. He's been criticized in the past for being a gunslinger, just shooting step backs and floaters and being wild with his game on the offensive end. That has all transformed, and now he's a guy in a complementary role. He's still getting 17 a game, 18.3 per, net rating almost 12.
Is there a place in this top 15 for the guy that you just want the ball in the hands of at the end of the game? Because almost across the league, there might be only 1 or 2 ahead of Tyler Harvey.
And that's a great point, because in the previous 2 lists, I probably did not acknowledge that greatness about him and his ability to pick moments to make big-time shots and not be fearful in the moment. And we've seen him not only make game winners, like game winners are great, but it's can you make a big shot in the second quarter when your team really needs it? And Tyler Harvey's a big shot taker and a big shot maker.
Absolutely, he is. We get into a couple of new faces. So Tyler Harvey is our 3rd new face on the list. We've got another one at number 8.
Number 8 is Matt Hurt, the big man from the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, Duke University, highly intelligent basketball player, shoots the ball well, inside, outside threat. Great size, a little bit more athletic than you think, and if we look at the raw numbers, he's at 20 a game this season. And through all of the struggles that the Phoenix had early throughout the season, Hurt was a shining light. He was keeping it together. He was keeping the scoreboard ticking over. Granted, in the last couple of rounds before the FIBA break, he wasn't outstanding, but he was doing enough to hold a position, and he's at number 8. Another one, on a losing team, Joel, a team that goes in with a losing record into the FIBA break, he's got a 15.1 net rating.
And he's been pretty consistent too. He hasn't had too many bad games for that Southeast Melbourne Phoenix team, even when they have been handily beaten. What about number 7?
Number 7 is Trey Kell, 17 points a game, 3.6 assists, 5.3 net rating. The injury hurt him. It totally ruined his flow and really kind of dismantled the Illawarra Hawks' rhythm there when they were on a run. Now, can he bounce back? He was solid in the last game against Sydney. He needs to use this break to get himself healthy. And I think if he comes back healthy, the Hawks will be a way better for it, because I like the trade of Clark for Kell. Clark was an outstanding player, but I'm not sure in our league that a four-man can give you as much stuff as like a point guard like Trey Kell can give you. And as I said before, with respect to Tyler Harvey, he and Tyler are interchangeable in the backcourt. He can play off the ball as well. He's got good size, excellent athlete. And because of him, primarily, is why I think they're a real championship threat.
And when they were up and going early in the season, and he was up and going earlier in the season, they looked really, really dangerous. And so we're going to pause in a moment and get through 1 to 5 separately, but we have number 6 to do before we get there. Who is number 6 on this list, Ruck?
Well, number 6 is Chris Goulding, and Chris goes into all-time great status. And he is the first member of the top 15 list to do it. He had an iconic performance before the FIBA break, dropping 46 points and a massive win over the Perth Wildcats at John Cain Arena. You cannot say enough about Chris Goulding and his impact on the league. He is one of the true stars. He is somebody that people actually will go out and hate watch. And you can hate watch him all you want. You're probably going to go away from the TV disappointed. At 36 years of age, he's averaging 18 points a game, 59% true shooting percentage. There's no more to talk about the stats. He's a multi-championship winner. He is a legend in the game, and he sits at number 6.
I can't help but notice, Ruck, that he had 46 a couple of weeks ago, and he's gone down since the start of the year. How does he slide down the ranking after a performance like that?
He started off the season a bit cool, okay? He was sick early. He had the ankle complaint, so those injuries just slowed him down a little bit. But that dip isn't anything major, especially once you look and see who's in the top 5. Chris Goulding at number 6 at the age of 36 is a tremendous achievement, and still room to go up later in the season.
Nice little bit of suspense there that you're building into it too. So that is 15 to 6. Of course, there's a couple of names that we don't see in the list that were at the start of the season. So far in this list, not featuring. We talked about DJ Vasiljevic, who's not there. Derek Walton was in that 15 to 6 range in the start of the year. Cam Oliver, Isaac Humphries, Milton Doyle, all very, very good players, but a lot of new faces in this list. So you've got Kell, Hurt, Harvey, Davis and Bateman, who slide into the list as 6 new faces among that bottom rung.
This list is brutal, and this league is brutal. It's a very competitive, unapologetic league, and you have to perform. The league is under high scrutiny, and for some of those guys that have been put out, it doesn't mean that you've been terrible. It doesn't mean that you're a bad player. It's just more credit to the talent in this league and how tough it is to be really consistently good.
Are you steeled for the top 5?
I'm ready.
All right, I'm ready as well. Looking forward to that. Stick around, that's not going to be far away. Keep tuned to the NBL socials, the NBL app. Give us your feedback as well. Hit us up on socials. We'd love to hear what you have. If you've got a top 15, throw it our way. And 5 to 1 is coming up very soon.